Hey guys, I am here today to clearly talk to you about my birth story. Well, Charlotte's birth story. So this is a little bit different than our regular vlogs. Clearly, I'm just sitting down and talking to you guys in Charlie's room. And I know that we have the labor and delivery vlog, so you can go ahead and watch that. I will have it linked down below, but I did just want to do like a story time about the labor and delivery. I really like watching these types of videos, and you know, a lot of the time like the vlog didn't show every little detail of everything that happened. So, and then at the end of this video, I'm going to do her 1 month update because she is 5 weeks now. So, you know, I just want to talk about that really quickly as well. Well, let's just jump into her birth story. So taking it back the whole way to Wednesday, June 28th. That was my birthday, first off, and second, I was officially 1 day overdue with Charlie. She was due on Tuesday, June 27th. So we went to the doctor's appointment. I was hooked up to the NST, whole little contraption, which is the non-stress test, and everything was fine. So basically, I was showing no signs of labor. I was only 1 day overdue. So talked to my doctor, and we set an induction date for the next Wednesday, July 5th. So that was it. I was going to be induced when I was about a week overdue. That was that. I just thought, you know, I'm going to go in, I'm going to be induced, that's how I'm going to have this baby. Whatever, a-okay, that's fine. Then on Sunday, July 2nd, my aunt had a 4th of July party. So it was like a pool party, no cookout. So I went there and I was just enjoying my day in my bathing suit. I wanted to be nice and cooled off and everything and just be by the pool and in the pool and all that stuff. Just enjoying my last few days pregnant. So Gary did come with me to the cookouts for my family, our family, clearly. And then he left early because one of his really good friends also had a gender reveal party that day. I decided not to go because I wanted to stay near the pool. I was basically 41 weeks pregnant and I just wanted to stay cooled off. So he went by himself, and I'm saying that because it's important to the story. So another important part that you will see later is I ate a lot that day. They cook so much amazing food at my aunt's house, and I ate some of everything. I had wings, pulled pork, salads, pasta salads, anything, like literally everything and anything, and I had multiples of it. I was so hungry that day. I specifically remember my mom and I left at about 6, maybe a little bit after 6, because she had somewhere to be at 7. So I go home and I'm feeling kind of sick and just like crampy in my stomach, like I had to go to the bathroom, and I figure, like, you know, something at the barbecue just didn't agree with me, so I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. And sorry if like any of this is TMI, but real life. So I was in the bathroom and I'm texting Gary, and Gary is pretty close to home by this point, about 10 or so minutes away, and I'm like, my stomach really hurts from this food, like something's not right, like I'm like cramping, and like I'm sweating right now, like I was sweating. He's like, you're not in labor, are you? And I'm like, no. I literally said no. So whatever, I stand up from the toilet and something gushes out of me, and I'm like, was that my water? Now it was only about a spot this big on the bathroom floor, I'd say, and I'm looking at it like, I definitely didn't like mean, like that just came out by itself. So I'm pretty sure I didn't pee myself. So I called him and I'm like, I think my water might have broke. And he's like, what? Like he's laughing, like you're lying, like you're kidding. And I'm like, I don't know, like it was only a little bit. And I literally said, do you want me to leave it on the floor for you to look at it? I can't tell if it's pee or if it's my water. And he said, yes, leave it there. So I'm like, okay. So I had read before that if you think your water broke, to put on a pad and then lay down for a half an hour. And if you stand up and there's another gush, that means it's your water, because it all like kind of sat in there and it came out when you went vertical again. So I went, grabbed, I only had like a little panty liner, so I went to grab a panty liner, and I'm standing in our bedroom putting the panty liner like in my underwear because I'm gonna lay down and try that, and then whoosh, this huge gush comes out, like a huge gush, and I'm like, that's my water, that's not pee, I know that for sure. So I'm calling him and he's like 5 minutes away at this time. I'm like, babe, like it's really my water, like I know my water broke, that is not pee, that is not normal. So I make my way to the bathroom and everything, and I'm like, okay, I get in the shower. I'm just standing in the shower because it's kind of coming in gushes, and I'm like, I don't want it to go all over my whole house. So I call my mom, and I'm like, she's with a client at this time. I was like, Mom, I think you should leave your client's house. And this was at 7:30, so literally just left my mom. And she goes, your water broke. And I was like, Yeah, it did. And I'm like laughing because it didn't hurt. Nothing hurt about it. It was really funny to me how it just kept coming in gushes. So I took another shower. Mind you, I just took a shower when I got back from the pool. So now this is my second shower. Took another shower. Just quick, just because I felt kind of gross. And then I'm like, okay, since nothing's hurting, I'm not in a rush or whatever, I'm just going to go and kind of get ready to go to the hospital. So I started like doing my hair. I started putting on a little bit of makeup. Just like real little stuff, just waiting for Gary to get there. And Gary walks up the steps, and I'm literally, sorry this is gross, but I'm standing in the bathroom doing my hair, and like my water just keeps coming out in gushes on the bathroom floor. But I'm like, if it's gonna go somewhere, it's better it goes on the bathroom floor instead of on a carpet somewhere. And he's just like looking at me like I'm crazy, like there's just water gushing out of me and I'm just doing my hair. And I'm like, it doesn't hurt, so I'm not in a rush, like it's fine. So my mom came to my house because she was bringing pad, like I wanted like a bigger, thicker pad to wear to the hospital, and I never thought about that and never bought one. And then she also had to pick up our dog. So my mom gets there, she gives me the pad, finishing my hair. Gary had already taken all this stuff out to the car by this point. I had only 2 contractions before I left the house. They weren't really bad or anything. So I think we left the house by 8:30, a little bit before that probably. And so we go to get to the hospital. I think we get to the hospital about 9, probably a little bit before that. No, the funny thing is all my water just broke at my house. None of it was on the pad when I got there. It was all in the system. So go to the emergency room. That's what they told us to do. Oh, I also had to call my doctor in between all this. Sorry, you know, remembering stuff as I go along. But I had called the doctor and everything, and it so happened to be my doctor that was on call from our practice. So I was so happy that she was going to be there. And she was like, yeah, just come in. We'll be waiting for you. All that stuff. So get there, go to the emergency room. They wheel me up to triage as Gary's parking the car. Gary meets me in triage. They hook me up to the monitors, listen to her heartbeat, all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, my water broke, blah, blah, blah. So they bring in there's a doctor and then a resident. I think that's what it was. It's practicing basically. So she comes in to check. They did some sort of test to see the amniotic fluid, to see if my water really did break. And then they want to see how dilated I was. It hurt so bad because I was like contracting at the same time as they're like checking. And I was only 2 centimeters dilated. I was having so many contractions though, like the whole way to the hospital, and while we were there, like it was hurting pretty bad. So then the day leave, they're like, we're gonna go test, see if your water really did break. Like, okay. So they come back and she's like, yeah, the test doesn't say that your water broke. Like there's nothing of whatever it was they're looking for. And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking like, I know my water broke, like I'm not crazy. So she's like, we're just gonna do an ultrasound to see how much water is still in there and everything, make sure like it really broke. And I'm like, okay. So the first thing she says when she looks at the ultrasound, now mind you, this isn't my doctor, this is a whole other doctor, but she's like, so the baby's breech. And I was like, no, like she's been head down since 28 weeks. Like she was just head down at her appointment on Wednesday and it's only Sunday. She's like, this baby's breech, and shows it to us, and we're like, okay. So like, you know, me and Gary kind of look at each other and we know what that means. And the doctor's like, yeah, there's like no amniotic fluid left, so there's not even a possibility of us flipping her. You know, the only option is a C-section. And in my head, I was just like, this sucks, but okay, like, what are you gonna do? There's nothing, like, not gonna change it. I'm not gonna fight it. That's the easiest, safest way. So, you know, once she said, like, my doctor would come in and talk to me and everything, and nurses would come, like, they're definitely admitting me. And it said we had to wait at least 6 hours because of how much I ate that day. They can't take you if you are on a full stomach or whatever. So she's like, we do have to wait until about 1 in the morning to do this because you ate. And I told them I ate a lot. So once they left, you know, me and Gary kind of just talked, and I cried a little bit. Like, wasn't sobbing, but I was just like I did not want a C-section. That was never, like, in my head what was going to happen. I was not going to have a C-section. There's no way. Like, I was going to be able to do this. Everyone the whole time kept asking me when I was pregnant if I was going to have a C-section because I'm so little. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with it. Like, no, like, I'm not having a C-section. End up having a freaking C-section. But like, even when I was talking to the one nurse, like, she asked me when she was going over all the other questions, she said, do you have a birthing plan? And I said, no, like, I really don't, just the easiest, safest way. And she said, that's good, because that's like something they really like to hear, because when you're trying to stick to a certain plan, so many things can happen that aren't on your plan, and you might want to fight it and all that, but it's just easiest and safest to do it, you know, the safest way possible. So that's kind of how I felt. That's why I never really had a birthing plan. My only birthing plan was that I knew I wanted an epidural. And it's still, like, I was only 2 centimeters, and my contractions were so bad, I couldn't even imagine getting the whole way. Anyway, so having a C-section, okay, whatever, we're having a C-section. So I meet the nurse that's going to be with me for the C-section and all that stuff. Her name was Whitney, and she was so freaking nice. And so then after I met, like, Whitney and everything, and she's like, okay, we're probably going to start prepping you at, like, 12:30, and we'll take you back at 1. So 12:30 came, and no one was coming in. I was having these really bad contractions. I hadn't, you know, I'm not on any drugs or anything yet, so I'm just, like, bearing through these contractions. And then 12:30 comes and goes, and then 12:45, then it's 1 o'clock, and I'm like, I had to pee. Like, I really had to pee or whatever, so I just called the nurse. And I was like, can someone take me to the bathroom? Because you can't just go to the bathroom by yourself since you're on the IV. And they're like, yeah, we'll come in and help you. So Whitney came in to get me all unhooked and to go to the bathroom, and she's like, we're just going to take you back now. So I was like, okay. So we started going back, and Gary had to go to the recovery room and put all our stuff in there and get suited up into his scrubs and everything. And that was probably the point where I was the most scared, was because he wasn't there. I didn't like being by myself. You go from being in this nice baby friendly environment to a sterile, cold, straight up OR room. Like, it's such a change. It's just, it was so weird, so bright, so many lights and everything, but you know, it's an operating room, that's how it has to be. So the people were nice. They did my spinal, you know, my spine and everything to numb me from the waist down. And Whitney held my hand, and then the other doctor came over when Whitney had to do something else and kind of held my shoulders for me, and he talked to me and just asked me if the baby was a boy or girl, what was her name, is her nursery done, just trying to distract me. And they're doing that spinal, and it really didn't hurt. I think because I was having contractions, nothing compared to those contractions, so it didn't hurt me that bad. I mean, like, being hunched over was kind of weird, but the guy was like, are we hurting you? And I'm like, no, I'm just having contraction. And then this is the anesthesiologist, and he goes, this will be your last contraction. I was like, fine by me. And that was my last contraction. Never felt another contraction. They got me all situated, and I'm laying there, and my doctor came in, and she's talking to me, and they put up the sheet, and there's her on this side of me, and then the other surgeon on the other side. I couldn't see them, but I could hear them. The anesthesiologists are by my head, and they're real nice and everything, and they did the whole test to make sure I couldn't feel anything. And it was just, time was going by. It seemed like it was going by so slowly, and I was like, asked Whitney, I was like, when is my husband gonna come in here? Like, I was just still so scared. I was just trying to breathe. I just needed him there. And she said, he'll be in a couple minutes. So, like, 30 seconds later, he came in, and that was just like an angel walking in, because I wasn't scared anymore, as silly as that sounds. We sat there, and I just stared at him the whole time. Like, I just looked in his eyes. I told him exactly what I ate for lunch that day. I told him exactly what they did to me while he was gone. Like, I just kept talking and talking and talking, because I think because I was nervous. I wanted to just focus on him and not think about it. I like went so fast. The next thing you know, I hear my doctor. She said, the first thing she said was, there's a lot of hair. There's a lot of curly black hair. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And she said 1:45 a.m. And you heard her cry, and I just started crying. I didn't think I was gonna cry, but hearing her cry, I was just so relieved. And she said, do you want to see her? And we're like, yeah. So she tried to hold her up above the curtain. I only saw her little hand. Gary said he saw her, but the way I was laying, I could only see her little hand. Then I remember after she came out, I heard her, just hearing her cry. I loved it. It sounded so magical. But then after that, I got sick. So I had to throw up a little bit, like in a tray. And then they let Gary go see her, and they announced that she was 8 pounds, 8 ounces. She was 20.5 inches. And Gary went to go see her, and he, you know, said she was so beautiful and everything. And he was taking pictures and video. And then they made him go back to, oh, and he also told me he saw my guts on the table, by the way. Just putting that out there. So they made him go back to recovery while they sewed me up and everything, and then they got me onto the other bed, and they handed me her, and so I finally got to see her, and it was so great. I still remember her little face, and just, she was so perfect. So we went back to recovery. We were in recovery for a really long time. Mind you, this whole time we're there, my parents were in the waiting room and Gary's mom. And I had FaceTime my mom from triage just so she knew I was okay. My mom was supposed to be in the room with me and Gary while I gave birth, but since it was a C-section, you can only have one person. So that's why I FaceTimed her before I went back and everything. So hours and hours went by, and then finally we got sent upstairs to our room with our little baby, and she was safe and sound, perfectly healthy. My mom and dad and his mom and then my brother also came at that time. By this time it was like 5 something in the morning. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. She got here safe and sound. She's here, she's healthy, and that is all that matters. So that is her birth story. If you have any questions about that, you can leave them down below in the comments. Sorry, it was a little bit longer than I thought. So on to her 1 month update. This is going to be really quick because I really don't know what to say. We just took her to the doctor today for her 1 month appointment. She is 5 weeks now. She's a little under 10 pounds right now. I think 9.6 exactly. She is now over 21 inches long. Everyone says how long her legs are, which is clearly from her dad. She smiles now. We got her first like social smile when she was 3 weeks old. I think she's almost 4 weeks old, and I got a huge smile from her one day, and then I was like, was that a fluke? And then we did it again, and so she smiles at us all the time now. She even giggles a little bit, like very little bit, very randomly, but I think she'll be like giggling soon. She definitely knows who mommy and daddy are. She's constantly making eye contact. Her neck is so strong. She loves her bath time, and she loves really warm water, like warmer than I thought she would like. She does really good at tummy time. She's been sleeping about 5-6 hours a night. One time we got an 8-hour stretch out of her. She does good when she's awake and will kind of look around. She likes, you know, oh, I just introduced a TV show to her the other day. I hadn't yet, but I wanted to see if it would get her attention, like their voices and the bright colors and everything, and it did. She sat there in front of the TV and watched it, and it was the cutest thing. So she's still sleeping in our room. She's not sleeping in here yet, but I do like bringing her in here to go in her crib and look up at her mobile. She loves looking at that, so we'll do that usually like in the afternoon. When I'm up here picking out her clothes, we'll usually do that. I'll put her in there, and she likes to look at her mobile. She still has all of her curls on her head. I love them so much, and I love putting bows on her. She wears a bow every time we go out of the house. She never leaves without like a headband with a bow on it. Never. So I wanted to show her in this update, but she is still sleeping, and she's napping really good right now downstairs in her DockATot. So I don't want to wake her up. You know, if you guys do just watch our other videos, you can watch her grow up with us and everything. Yeah, so that is it for her birth story and her 1 month update. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for all our subscribers. We are almost at 2,000 now, and seriously, thank you so much. Love you guys, and I'll just see you in the next video. Bye!